Sandy Springs is a sister city relationship with Taicang, China. I understand you'll be leading a trade mission there from April 8th to 14th. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, it's really an extraordinary opportunity for businesses who want to do trade with China. And Atlanta's got a good relationship with China. Sandy Springs is now taking advantage of it. We have to back up a little bit and talk about Atlanta's expansion. You've heard me talk before that Atlanta is the next international city of this hemisphere because of our transportation, our airport, our ports, our quality of life, and the economic incentives available. Well, a lot of that is centered in the city of Atlanta or the state of Georgia, but there are many suburban cities that are not technically part of the city of Atlanta, but everybody thinks of them as Atlanta. Many of these cities are fighting what I think is a losing battle to maintain a image of being one of these picturesque, gone with the wind, little southern towns. The ones that are really close in are fighting a losing battle. They have got to become suburban economic centers and maintain a different quality of life that will be great for the people who live there and work there, but they got to move it into the modern century. If you're 50 miles out, you can do the small town thing. Sandy Springs has done a phenomenal job of maintaining an excellent quality of life with education and the value of your home and having amenities like restaurants and things that people want to enjoy where they live, but they've also attracted some major corporations and a lot of mid-sized businesses. We're the home to UPS, we're the home to Newell Rubbermaid, we're the home to several consuls general who realize this is the place to be. And Ackerman happens to be based also in Sandy Springs. The trade mission to China, Mayor Eva Colombo started a sister city relationship with Taicang about 5 or 6 years ago because she and the leadership in Sandy Springs realized that if Sandy Springs was going to be relevant in the next century, it had to be relevant on a global scale and not as a small suburb of Atlanta. Anybody who lives in Atlanta knows kind of the most desirable place to live and work is on the north side of town, and Sandy Springs is central to that. What's happened to date is the government, Eva Columbus and the government here, the government in Taicang, have had government people go back and forth, and then we've had students go back and forth. I think Eva's even hosted one of these students in her home, and this is from the little children to the college students, and again, government things back and forth. Now we're ready to do some business with China. If you understand Chinese relationships, building the relationship is absolutely critical. The beauty of this trade mission is Eva Columbus, the government delegations, and some people who participated with them on the educational things have built an extraordinary relationship with Taicang. So now they're ready to really welcome us with open arms to actually do some business.
Are you just meeting with Taicang?
We're not just meeting with Taicang. Taicang is very similar to Sandy Springs, but most people who haven't visited China don't understand the scale. Sandy Springs is about 60,000 people strong. It's on the northern edge of Atlanta, one of the more affluent suburbs where the executive businesses like to locate. And Taicang has a lot of those same features relative to Shanghai. It's north of town. It's a very executive area with a very high quality of life. The difference is Taicang is 800,000 people. It's much larger. Even as big as they are, to have an effective trade mission, we have to hit a couple of the big cities. And that sounds like a joke when you say you're visiting a city of 800,000. We're going to go to Hangzhou also, where the city of Atlanta has an excellent relationship. And I've actually done a lot of trade with Hangzhou and different things, not just real estate, over the years. I was actually on Atlanta Mayor Reed's trade mission to China in March of last year, and we developed some excellent opportunities for the city of Atlanta. Well, this is still focused more on Sandy Springs. We're going to take advantage of those Atlanta relationships and my relationships, and we're going to take advantage of Taicang opening doors for us and doors we've opened through the Atlanta World Trade Center to create opportunity for the people on this trip. Okay? You can't go there without seeing Shanghai also. Shanghai is the next financial capital of Asia, perhaps. Now, some people will argue that, but China is certainly one of the most relevant economies. And Hong Kong is like New York. It will always be there. It will always be extremely relevant and extremely important. But the massive growth in China, it now is actually centered around the port of Shanghai and the financial institutions in Shanghai. We will be visiting all three. We'll also get a taste of China nightlife and amenities, quality of life when we're in Shanghai. So.
You mentioned about Hong Kong. Are you going to do anything with Hong Kong or the Canton Fair by chance?
A lot of people who want to trade with China think of import and export, either exporting United States goods to China or buying Chinese goods that they can distribute in the United States. This dovetails pretty well with our trade mission because we're targeting mid-level businesses. The mega businesses don't need us, and the little tiny businesses probably can't afford to make the move. The Canton Fair in Guangzhou is one of the largest trade fairs in the world. You can buy everything from kitchen appliances to 50-ton cranes, to bulldozers, to TV sets, to door systems for your commercial building. It's really an extraordinary fair. It's not actually part of our trade mission, but what we have done is we have dovetailed the dates, so the day after our trade mission concludes on April 14th, the Canton Fair starts on the 15th. And we will arrange credentials for anyone who wants to go to the Canton Fair and participate. You can go and actually buy goods and set up a relationship. We advise you to be careful about that. We'll do a different video about that. But we'll open the door so you can get in. We can provide you a little counseling if you want that, but you kind of be on your own down there. And that is a short train ride from Hong Kong, where a lot of the banking is still done. Again, we can guide you on those things, but that's not a direct part of our trade mission.
There are a lot of trips to China. What's special about this one?
What's special about this one is the relationships I mentioned a little earlier. Sandy Springs has already spent 4 to 5 years building an excellent relationship with the government in Taicang. Atlanta has spent many years developing an excellent relationship with the city of Hangzhou, and also Shanghai. Shanghai is the center to do business, and I have done business in Shanghai and Hangzhou for many years, so I kind of know the drill. It's also important to understand that this is not a business junket or a vacation. With these relationships we have in Taicang and Hangzhou and Shanghai, we are actually in a position to get the economic development people and government in Taicang and Hangzhou, a little bit less in Shanghai, but in Shanghai we'll be working with the World Trade Centers, sister to the one in Atlanta. We're going to put these people to work for us, and they volunteered to help us to find a match for what you want to do. I always tell the joke about the left-handed smoke shifter, and nobody knows what that is. But here's what we're going to do on this trip. If your interest is left-handed smoke shifters, we're going to contact these governments and say, we have a business coming that wants to meet people who are in the business of left-handed smoke shifters. And whether it's manufacturing, whether it's distribution, whether it's spare parts for them, whatever, these governments are going to, and economic development people, are going to go to work for us to get you quality meetings with the kind of business and type of business you want to do. Before you leave, we will work with you when we ask those questions to make sure you are targeted enough to get success. You can't say, I want to work in auto parts. We have to have a more exact idea, then we can set up specific meetings when we go there. There will be time for some nightlife and some fun in Shanghai, and I'm sure we will have wonderful meals and see these wonderful cities when we go. But this is a business meeting for the purpose of developing trade. We've done it before, we know how to do it, and we will facilitate you in doing it.
How can businesses participate?
First thing is you actually don't have to be from Sandy Springs to participate. Now, not just everybody can go. You have to approach us, and we have to understand what you're doing and how it dovetails with us. We're only going to take about 12 or 15 people. This is not going to be a very large trade mission. It's going to be a very targeted trade mission. The very big businesses, the Newell Rubbermaids and UPSs, that are based here in Sandy Springs, they don't need us. They're already there. But UPS in particular is actually one of our sponsors, and they're helping us a couple ways. They're giving us a little financial support to reduce the cost of the trip for the people to participate. They're providing us some training seminars, and they do logistics. So someone who wants to trade with China, once they identify the opportunity, UPS will hold their hand. So anything they need to do on shipping or getting through customs, etc., they can do it. Our target is probably the medium-sized company, the company that is big enough to trade with China or internationally, but hasn't done it yet. We have the connections and we have the experience to put these people in touch and basically leapfrog them right into actually doing some business. Will they sign a big contract on the first trip? That's probably not realistic. But we can take a couple of years off that building the relationship part, and we can guide them on what to do with that relationship. And then if they're serious about the investment and the possible returns, they can do it. The little tiny businesses in Sandy Springs, believe it or not, they can participate as well. We're having organizational meetings where we might need something as simple as donuts and coffee. So it could be one of the Jason's Delis or one of these bundt cake places can come provide us a little food while we do our planning. If you do office supplies, if you do anything of that nature, these businesses that are going need support from everyone. We need a little bit of financial support to put the trip together.
Is this limited to Sandy Springs businesses?
It's got to meet the interests of what Sandy Springs wants to do, but Sandy Springs is in a leadership position in Atlanta, and we're looking to expand Atlanta's business. What is good for Atlanta is good for Sandy Springs. So if there is a business outside of Sandy Springs that's going to dovetail to the overall mission, we're interested. We want people in logistics. We want people in sales. We want people in manufacturing. We want people in media. We want people in government relations. We want all of these things because not only will you be able to look at doing business with Taicang and Hangzhou back here and businesses there, we want to put together a team where while you're on the trip, you will be with other people who can help you do your business. We don't want disjointed businesses. We also know what works and what doesn't work. Okay? If a business approaches us and wants to participate, we will interview them. We will guide them a little bit on what we know in doing business with China and evaluate if they're going to be successful. We all want success. I don't want to take money from somebody to go on the trip, have them go over there, and then be frustrated later because it didn't work for them. So we're going to try to guide them a little bit. It's ultimately their responsibility. But since we want to limit this to 12 or 15 participants, we're going to look for people who meet the overall objectives of the mission.
Why is Ackerman involved?
Ackerman is a commercial real estate and investment firm, and I am a new element in Ackerman where my focus is on the international community. We all need a place to do our business, and that is what Ackerman does. Okay? Whether you are in retail, whether you're industrial, you need a manufacturing plant or warehouses, whether you need office space, whether you need medical space, our brokerage represents all of the industries, and we will put you in the right space. We've got the gray hairs and the depth on the team to help you evaluate your business and the best place for it to be, and that's what we've done in Atlanta for almost 50 years now. I have done that internationally. If a business is going to make an international move, you need a trusted party on the other side, for Shanghai, for example, who knows that city. I and Ackerman now have the relationships in Shanghai, in Taicang, in Hangzhou, that if you want to open a warehouse there or if you want to open a sales office there, we know how to evaluate your business and your needs. We know enough about the international move to then identify the right real estate company in Hangzhou, Shanghai, Taicang, wherever it is. And by the way, South America or Europe, anywhere you want to go. And cement a relationship with them so you will get taken care of and get put in the right place there. Okay?
So if someone wanted to take advantage of this opportunity, how can they reach out to you?
Okay, even though it's a City of Sandy Springs trip, okay, there's a couple of ways you can get in touch. I'm leading the mission. I'm going to be providing a lot of the information, and I'm going to be influential on the selection committee of who goes. But it's actually a Sandy Springs decision. But somebody who wants to participate is probably best off contacting me first. That would be my email or my cell or my office phone. The other way you could get information is by contacting the Sandy Springs Perimeter Chamber of Commerce, who's actually acting as the organizational body for putting together the meat of this. And you can talk to Tom. If you call the Sandy Springs Perimeter Chamber, they can give you some ideas on how you can work with the chamber for the success of this mission and your business.